today we're going to be going over the very basics of crochet. So if you want to learn, let's go. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Donna, this is my Wonderland, and I am so happy to have you here. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and watching this video. If you are new here, then I hope you stick around, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you can join us on more videos. So today we're going to go over the beginning starts of crochet, how to do it, and what it looks like. So I've got a few things already set up for you guys, and then I'm going to take you through step by step on how to do a chain, how to do your first row, how to turn your rows, and how to create a piece of crochet. So that is what we're going to do today. But before we jump into that, I do just want to let you guys know that I made a mistake on my Tuesday video when talking about the Black Panther release that is coming this week. So if you don't know, did I say Tuesday? I meant Thursday. If you don't know, I am an independent Scentsy consultant, and on Thursdays I do Scentsy related videos, and on Sundays I do crafting. On Thursday I said that Black Panther was releasing on the 19th. It's actually coming on the 22nd. It's been delayed. That wasn't information that I found out until after I uploaded the video. And what I also missed out was this beauty. So this is the Marvel Black Panther warmer, and this is a standard warmer, and that is coming out with it. So that is the new product that I was missing. I knew there was one, but I could not find anything on the system about it. So that is what is coming on the 22nd. So if you want to head back to that video to find out more about that, please do. Otherwise, we're going to get straight into crochet. So what is crochet? Crochet is a yarn craft, and for crochet we use hooks. So unlike knitting that uses 2 needles, we use 1 hook in crochet. What I love about crochet is it's really quick and easy to do, and it works up really quickly, and you can get a project done a lot quicker than you might think that you would. So some of you will have watched my crochet shorts video that I did in 8 days in the time that I allowed to do it. I also did a bralette, which I will link, and that took me less than a week to do as well. So yeah, there's lots of quick things that you can do, really quick things that you can do, which I've shown you in my craft gifts option. I did a video on 3 or 4 crochet gift ideas that you could do. I will link that up there as well, where I made these little coffees. They work up really quickly, which is great. So I first wanted to go over hook sizes and yarn size for you. So I'm going to change the camera around, come down here, and then I will actually show you how to get started. Okay guys, so here I have got 3 hooks and 3 workups for you in 2 different yarns. So this one here is a 4.5mm hook, and it is important when you're following a pattern to look at the hook size and the yarn that you're using. Make sure that you're using the correct hook and yarn, because if you don't, you're going to see what happens. So this is a 4.5mm hook. This white yarn here is a cotton yarn. So this is the ball here, 100% cotton. It is double knit, so DK double knit. And this is how the crochet works up on a 4.5mm hook. Okay, so this is a nice, it's got nice spacing between it. It's not too holey. It's got good coverage. So that works up quite nicely. So a 4.5mm hook is quite good for a double knit. Moving on to the second piece that I've worked up, I used an 8mm hook, and I'll show you that the yarn there, I've left them all joined together so I don't waste my yarn, I can just undo it. And that is a great thing about crochet and knitting as well, is if you do something wrong you can just undo it and you can still use the yarn. It's just a little bit more disheartening, I think, than sewing, because if you do something wrong on sewing, then it's a lot quicker to seam rip and re-sew than it is to undo all of this. But once you've cut your pieces, you can only re-sew it to whatever it was that you were making. So if you were making a dress, you can only really make that dress with that, whereas with the wool, or the yarn, sorry, you can undo that and you can make something completely new from it, and it's not an issue. So this is an 8mm hook anyway. So these are the holes that you get with an 8mm hook. It's a little bit more spaced out. It's a little bit more stretchy. You might want to do something, some sort of craft with this, I don't know. It just depends, you know, different things suit different things. So the next one I'm going to show you, I've got an idea what you can do with that, but I don't really, I suppose this could be the same as the next one that I show you, the idea that I have. So we'll go on to that one and I'll show you that. So this is what it looks like with an 8mm hook on double knit. And then the last one, this one hasn't actually got its size on it. I should write it. Oh no, it has. I lie, guys. There you go. It's a 15mm hook. So it's written just there, 15mm. So this is a 15mm hook, and this is what you get with the double knit with a 15mm hook. It is a lot harder to crochet because the yarn is all over the place. It's very hard to see which bits that you're supposed to be going through, so it is more difficult, but it has a lot bigger weave. It's a lot more stretchy, but I thought what you could do with this is do like a swimsuit cover up, or a top cover up. So if you were going to wear some sort of bra, sort of an outerwear bra, or a corset top, or you were going to wear a bikini top, you might want to make a top or a full length cover up. If you wanted something to cover you up on the beach, it might be a good idea. So that's why I say you might want to use this. It depends on how much skin exposure you're happy with. So you could do it in this, like the 8mm, or you could go 15mm and make one of those sort of net crochet tops. So that is the example there. So then what I did was I took a different yarn and I used exactly the same needles to create the same sort of thing to show you. So the other thing to say actually is that these are all 6 stitches across, 6 stitches across, and then this one is 6 high, but this one is only 4 high. This holy one is only 4 high. So you can see the difference that it works up. So imagine if you were doing a pattern and it was a cardigan and it's called for a 4.5mm hook, and you didn't have a 4.5mm hook. So you decided to use an 8mm hook because that's all you've got, and you use the same amount of stitches. You can see the difference in size it is going to create. So that is something to watch out for. So that is that. And then 4.5mm hook with super chunky yarn. This is what you get. It is pretty stiff. There is very little holes in there. You might be able to see a couple there, but it is very solid piece, very stiff piece of work there. So that is the 4.5mm, and that was quite difficult because if you look at the hook itself, it was quite difficult to get it without it slipping. So not really the best size hook for this yarn. And then we did it with the 8mm, which was a better size, I think. So you can see the holes a little bit more on this one. It's a little bit more stretchy. There's a little bit more give in it, and the hook works quite well with the yarn there. And then the last one is with the 15mm hook, and this is what you get. Again, all of these are 6 across, and then I've gone, this is a 6 square. So imagine if you got the wrong yarn and the wrong hook and you made this when you were supposed to make that. That is exactly the same. They are both 6 rows deep and 6 stitches across. So huge difference there. So that's why it's important to look at the yarn and the hook size when you're doing your work. So one other thing that you need to watch out for when you are doing your crochet is that if you're going to be following a pattern, you are going to be given a gauge usually. And what a gauge is it is what they expect the size to be if you do so many stitches and so many rows. So they will sort of usually say do a 15 by 15 square or something. So imagine this is a 15 by 15 square, and maybe this is the hook that they want you to use. They want you to use a 4.5mm hook, and they want you to do a 15 by 15 square, and this is the size that comes out at. If you use the 4.5mm hook, the yarn is right, and you make a 15 by 15 square, but your 15 by 15 square comes out bigger, you might be going, what have I done wrong? Well, you haven't done anything wrong. It's just your gauge is larger than their gauge, which means that your stitches are looser than theirs. So what you might want to do is, instead of using a 4.5mm hook, go down to a 4mm hook, do the gauge patch again, and see if that measures up the size better. So if you go down a hook size, so this was 8mm, remember, and this was a 4.5mm, so obviously a lot bigger difference. If this was the 4.5mm hook that you used and you went down to a 4mm hook, you might be able to get closer to the gauge that they're asking for. So just keep dropping half a mil until you reach the gauge that you're looking for. And for me, the best thing to do is to get this little kit that I got. Absolutely love it. I will link it below. It is this little pouch here, and I got it off of Amazon, and it has got lots of different hooks in. I think there's 12 hooks, ranging from 1.5 to 8, I think. So you can just change your hook and see if you can create the gauge that they're looking for. And equally, if you are doing something and it's supposed to look like this on whatever hook you're using, and it's coming out like this, a lot smaller, it means that your gauge is too tight. So you can either loosen your stitches to make the gauge the right size, or you could go up half a mil on your hook and see if that gives you it doing the gauge that you do, the tension that you do with your stitches. So that is just something important to remember. So let's get you facing downwards again, and I will show you how to start your crochet from the very first loop to working up a little project. Okay, so I have just got some double knit yarn here. Can't give you the label information because it doesn't have a label anymore. That's how old it is. So the first thing you are going to do is you are going to create a slip knot. So depending on the work that you're doing, we're just doing a trial here, so I'm not going to make the tail very long, but I always recommend leaving about 6 inches or so, so you've got something that you can weave into your work to keep it solid. So what we're going to do is take the yarn over 2 fingers, cross it, and then just pull it through to create a slip knot like so. Okay, so let me do that again. Over 2 fingers, cross it, and then you're going to pull it through. Okay, you can use your hook for this. So again, cross it, go under, pull that through, and loop. Okay, so that is your first loop on your hook. Now we only work with one loop really, one stitch should I say at a time, whereas knitting you would have like 20, 30, however many stitches on one needle, which you then work over to another needle. You're just literally one stitch at a time. So you think it would be slower, it's not actually, it's a lot quicker. It's weird. Well, I find it a lot quicker. Different people, horses for courses. Okay, so for the first chain, I always hold the tail in my right hand and the working yarn in my left. So the working yarn is the yarn that's attached to the ball. And then I put my hook under, and then I swap the tail over. So the tail comes into my left hand, and then I turn my hook and I pull it through. Okay, so do that again. So to get your first stitch, tail in my left hand, yarn under, swap the tail so that I can pull the hook through. and that's one stitch, or one chain should I say. So this is your foundation chain. So we're just going to then do again the same yarn over your hook and pull through, yarn over the hook, pull through, yarn over the hook, pull through, yarn over the hook, pull through, and then we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do one more. So that's 6 foundation chains there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an extra one for my turning chain. So I'm not actually going to work into this one. This is just going to allow me to turn my work. So that's 7 on there. Now, what I like to do is I like to work into the back bump. So as you look at this chain here, let me just hold my hook. Sorry. As you look at the chain here, you can see these kind of chevron diamond shapes, these shape here, yeah, that is your stitch. So a lot of people will work into that when they are doing their first row, and this is where we work in most of our stitches, as you'll see when we get into row 2. But I like to switch it over, and you see that it has all of these bumps on the back. Bump, 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 bump. And that is the bit that I actually like to work into, because then it puts the chevron on the bottom of your work, and I just think it's a nice, neat look. So we're going to do single crochet. So single crochet is the first stitch that I'm going to teach you. It's the only one that we're going to go through today. And what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the very first bump, because this is the turning stitch that we've made. So we ignore that first one, and we're going to put our hook under that second bump. So through there. And then we're going to put the yarn over. Now this is not how I normally do it. I'll show you how I normally do it, but I'm just doing this so you can see it better. We do the yarn over the hook there, and then we pull the yarn through. And so we've now got 2 loops on our hook. We don't want 2 loops on, so we're going to create another loop. Put your yarn over the hook again, and then you're going to turn it and pull it through those 2, so you've got 1 on there, and then that is 1 stitch. So we're going to do the same again. We're going to go yarn and hook under the bump, pull the yarn through, so we have 2 on the hook, yarn over the hook, pull through. That is 2 stitches. Yarn through the bump, pull through, yarn over the hook, pull through 2. That's 3 stitches. Hook through the bump, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Through the bump, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And then this is the last one, and you've got to be a bit fiddly with this one, because this one kind of disappears because it's the very first one. So bump, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we should have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've done that right. Now, before we turn our work, we need to raise our working yarn to the height of the next row. So we add 1 extra chain. Okay, so this is for single crochet. It's different for different stitches. So then you're going to turn your work over, and then you're going to start your first row. So that was your foundation row. You've done your foundation chain, your foundation row, and now this one is our first proper row working. You have to look at your pattern to see whether your first row counts towards your work or whether it is just a foundation row, but we're going to take it that it's just a foundation row at the moment because I'm just showing you. So as you will see, we now have all of these chevrons again on the top here, the same as we've got on the bottom. So when you're working a row, you're going to go from here with 1 loop on your hook. You are going to go under both of those chevron pieces like that. Then you're going to pull the yarn through just like you did in the previous, yarn over and pull through, and that is exactly how you continue the row. You go through both the front and the back of that chevron, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn through the both sides of the chevron. Now, depending on the pattern, sometimes it asks you to work into the front loop or work into the back loop. So I will show you what that means. So if it's asking you to work into the front loop, it's asking you just to go through this one side, the front side of your work. So this is the front loop, this is the back loop. So this would be the front working loop, and you would pull it through like that. And if it said work through the back loop, you would go through the back loop there, leaving the front alone. So that's just going to give you a different look to your work. Work up some squares and try working through the front loop or the back loop continuously. And it might be, it's a bit like ribbon and stocking stitch. You know, if you knit on one side and purl on the other, and knit on one side and purl on the other, then you're going to get that knitted look of the chevrons at one side and the bumps on the other. So if you were to work in the front row on one side, then the back row on the next, and then the front row, and then the back row, and then the front row, you would get a similar kind of effect from it. So we are working through both the front and the back loop at the moment, because this is just the very basics. This is what you can do, and you can start making things with this pattern here. Don't forget that last one. And again, you're at the end of the row, so do another chain so that you can turn your work round and start working again. So that is your basic crochet with single crochet, your foundation chain, your slip knot, and working through the bumps in the back for your foundation row, and then working a couple of rows with the going through the front and the back chevron, pulling through, yarn over, pull through both parts of the chevron, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, and then there. And then when you want to cast off, as they would say in knitting, what you need to do is literally pull your yarn through, pull that loop up, pull it nice and tight, and then cut your yarn. Again, leave enough tail to work into your work. So you could use this to make a scarf, you could use this to make a flannel, you could use it to make squares, so you could do granny squares with it. You could do lots with just that basic crochet there. So that would be regular back and forth crochet. Now, the other thing that we do with crochet is we work in the round. And for this is if you want to make something that is circular, obviously. And sometimes in granny squares, they will do a circle in the center, and then they will square it off to make the square. So if you've seen that, they've started by working in the round. So if you wanted to do that, we need to do the magic loop. So to do the magic loop, we kind of make a knot there like this, and then I would hold the tail there, and then what we want to do is work a number of rows into the loop. So make sure that the yarn is coming from the front. See there, it's on the front side. So if that's why I turned it, because I would have just been pulling the knot undone. You go through your loop, and you're going to pull up a loop of yarn. Okay, so you've got your tail in your left hand, you've got the circle holding between your fingers on your right hand, you've got the working yarn in your fingers on the left hand there, and you've got one loop on your hook. Then you are going to do exactly the same as you did when you chain. So you're going to go pull that yarn through to create a loop. That's what I do on my first one. And then you're just going to go under and create another one. And then you're going to go under and create another one. And then you're going to go under and create another one. Sorry guys, I keep moving it out of the shot, don't I? So you're going to go under, pull the yarn up, yarn over your hook and pull through those two. So you can see here that I have got 1, 2, 3, 4 on my hook so far, 4 on my circle so far. So I'm going to do 8. So there we go, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right there. And then what you need to do is you need to tighten up your circle. So you're just going to pull this round, and then you have got your circle there. Now, there are 2 things that you can do, and obviously it depends on the pattern or it depends on your preference with what you want to do. You can just start working in a spiral. So to do that, you would literally find your first chevron there and start working your single crochet or whatever stitch you're doing into that first chevron. So pull through and pull through and then keep going, and then that's going to create a spiral effect. Or if you want to do circles, so you want an inner circle, a circle, a circle, a circle, then instead of doing a first stitch into that, you want to join this in the round. So you're going to instead put your hook through both chevrons, pull through 2 as if you're going to do a single crochet, and then instead of yarning over again and pulling through 2 like you would for a single crochet, you're just going to do what is called a slip stitch. So this means that you've pulled your yarn through the chevron, and instead of doing any more yarning over, you just pull that yarn straight through. And now we have a circle rather than a spiral. And then what you want to do is you want to yarn over, pull through 1, and do that, lifting it up to the working height of the row again, like we did at the end of our rows when we were doing a square. And then you're going to go into the back in to that first stitch, where you just joined it together, pull through, yarn over into the next one, pull through, yarn over, and this is single crochet in the round. So you can do lots of different things with this. When you get back round, you might want to put a stitch marker in that very first stitch that you did, so that you know which one is your first one, rather than sometimes what people will do is they will end up working into this stitch here, which is your height stitch. It is the one that you use to get up to the height of the row. It was your chain rather than a stitch. So if you do your first stitch and then put a stitch marker in there, you'll know that that's the one that you need to slip stitch into. Then you'll raise the chain and you can go round again. So if anybody has got any questions about that, no question is silly. We don't know what we don't know. I don't claim to be an expert. This is just what I do. And there is plenty of other tutorials on YouTube about how to start crocheting, which you might get on better with depending on who you like to learn from. So that is how you would start working in the round. That is how you would work backwards and forwards, and that is really simple crochet that you can do, and you can create lots of things with it. So with these circle things, it can be nice to have decorative coasters, or I did one that was quite large to sit under a plate that sits on my nice wooden console table, and I didn't want the console table to get scratched, so like a doily off of my nan's era, but you know, it does its job, so it sits there and protects the wood for me. You could do that. So you can just go round and round and round and make it as big as you want. If you wanted to do a round blanket, that would be the perfect way to do that. If you want me to continue with this and show you some more stuff, I could do a couple of other stitches, double crochet, half double crochet, and and things like that. I could show you how to change colours. So let me know in the comments below if there is something that you would like to learn, and I will try and make some more videos for you. If you start crocheting from this video and you attempt to do something, I would love to see it over on Instagram. I am DonnaEade81 on Instagram. If you are somebody who knows me on Facebook, then do show me on Facebook. I would love to see what you create. I'm actually really enjoying my crafting. I'm so glad I started this channel so that I could craft some more, because I'm really enjoying reigniting those skills that haven't been used for a long time. My nan is the one who taught me to crochet and knit, and my mum helped out a little bit, but she didn't have as much patience with me because we're too alike. So definitely give it a go. I'd love to see what you make, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me.